Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to our Q&A that we do live every week here on the Dice Tower, or almost every week. This is going to be a very different week than most. If you watch Board Game Breakfast this morning, you know that this week very few reviews are going up. There's some reviews going up today and some at the end of this week, but mostly we're doing live gameplays of some of the games that you see behind me and more. You can find a full schedule on our Facebook group, or you can just go look at the YouTube videos. They've all been scheduled, and that's going to start on Wednesday. Soft launch tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be playing Freedom 5, the newest Dice Tower Essential game. It's going up on Kickstarter tomorrow. Cooperative game and the Sentinels of the Multiverse Universe. So hopefully you will enjoy that. So that will be tomorrow, and then full-fledged Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday we'll be playing different games, and we hope that you enjoy those as we go through them. So that's what's going on. That's what's coming up in the future. Well, it was a good weekend. I saw Tenet, which was a very difficult movie to understand, but I think I got most of it, especially at the end. Thought it was pretty cool. Spent a lot of time with my wife. It was a good weekend, actually. Spent some time with the kids, too. We played some new games, me and the kids together. We had a good time. Good time, good restful weekend, and I'm ready to go. So this is a Q&A, so if you have any questions, go ahead and ask them, and I may or may not answer them. So I don't see any questions currently. Hi, Tom. I hope you're doing great. I am. Not a question, but I'm feeling good. When was the last time you were outside and got to play in the snow? We did in Korea. That's been a decade now. Yeah, I don't think I've done it since then. Yeah, some of my kids have never had that opportunity. Have you played Freedom 5 before? Yes, because it is a Dice Tower Essentials. Let's see. Do my kids have a favorite game right now? I don't know. We play so many different games all the time. I don't know if there's a favorite one. I know Queensdale is still one of their favorite games for sure. What was the best thing I ate this weekend? Easy choice here, folks. I went to a Korean barbecue, and that was amazing. It was very Korean, very good, very happy. Best way to eat eggs, Eggs Benedict, which is odd. You asked me, I just had eggs for breakfast, and I had them over easy, which is my favorite way to eat them fancy style, I suppose. An omelet's pretty good too, but over easy. Have I ever been to Scotland? I have not. I'm planning to have a Funkoverse tournament with friends this weekend. Have you done anything like this? Yes, we actually played it on the channel here. We had a lot fewer of the Funkoverse people. Any tips or advice? Not really. I mean, should you keep the same characters for each round or draft per game? What I might do, depending on how many people are playing, is you let people draft a certain amount. They pick who they bring to each game from their own little pool of characters. I don't know. When am I planning to review the new adventure game, the Volcano one? It's going to be quite a while, actually, before I review that one. I've started playing it, though. Why can't Mike do more solo reviews? Doesn't Mike do solo reviews every week? Does he have full discretion over the games he covers solo? Yes-ish. I don't get this. I mean, Mike has a full-time job here at Dice Tower, helping me put out a lot of productive videos that we put out over the course of a week. I'm impressed that he finds the time to do all these extra little solo games. I'm sure he's doing at least one a week at this point. That's 50 a year. So I'm not sure he can't do more solo reviews. Is there a game your wife refused to play with you? Oh, plenty. I mean, but here's the thing. If I knew my wife wouldn't like a game, I don't even ask her to play it. Thank you. We had a good time at Shut Up and Sit Down. If you missed it, me and Quinn did a video on Friday. So that's posted on YouTube, on the YouTube and on our Twitch channel. It was a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoy that. What are your thoughts on the game mechanism of units dealing damage according to how many health it has? That doesn't sound like a good mechanism. It sounds like a good, like if I was playing a Heroescape or something, that sounds like a good special power. Like your damage you deal is equal to your health. But if everyone did that, that sounds boring, actually. It also doesn't sound very legitimate. Like, I'm almost dead. I'm starting to bleed out. So this pistol I'm carrying, it barely hurts people. But when I'm feeling good, the pistol's more powerful. Doesn't really make a lot of sense. Maybe melee it would make sense. Let's see here. Do you think with this year's circumstances, the quality of games has improved, stayed the same, or gotten worse as publishers have had to reevaluate what they release? I would say it's the same. I mean, I think the quality of games in general is going up slightly over the course of a year. But I would argue that, you know, like I'm like, oh, wow, we're definitely seeing better. Good. I don't know. Let me wait till we get to the end of this year when we do our Winter Spectacular and we'll be talking about the year as a whole. Favorite fish to eat, not shellfish? Well, I really like cod. I don't know why. Dolphin is good, not dolphin fish. Mahi. That's because it's everywhere down here, so I'm just used to eating that. But I really like cod. And tuna. I used to say salmon, but I think it's cod at this point. What was the game that got you hooked? I don't know that there's any particular game that got me hooked, but I've done a history of the Dice Tower. And so if you watch through those videos, possibly one or two of those would give you an idea of some of the games along the way, because there's a whole list of them. Let's see here. Do you have a budget for office supplies or equipment? For sure. We have to buy office supplies and equipment all the time. We're constantly needing to buy dongles and cords, and we have to upgrade our computers on a at least biannual basis to make sure we have good quality editing software and computers. We need paper and pens, you know, like any other office supply thing. Now, I was very fortunate. Was it 3 years ago now? An Office Max near us went out of business. So I dragged Derek, who was my video editor at the time, over there. I was like, let's go. Everything's 50 to 75% off. And we bought like $500 worth of office supplies. So like, oh! When we first moved into this studio, I took everyone on a shopping spree to go get stuff for their desks. You know, hey, you know, what calendars and what mats and things you want. We went and got all that. And then the power went out in the Office Depot we were at the time. So we had to, how did they scan us out? I think they hooked up to a phone or something. But yeah, of course we have a budget for that. We have to. How do you maintain your drive for this? Don't you ever burn out from gaming or discussing gaming? Well, yeah, I guess, but I don't do it all the time. You know, on Saturday, did I do no gaming Saturday? Let me think. I got up. I went for a walk, a long walk with the dog. Then I got back. And then I just hung out with the kids for a while. Yeah, and then me and my wife went out. I had a good time, came back. Went to bed. Yeah, I didn't do any gaming on Saturday. But that's okay. I did go to a game store, though. But I didn't do any gaming. I don't know. I just like doing what I like doing. I don't I don't know that I do it all the time. Like, I'll play video games or app games. I read books. I was excited today because I opened up my Kindle, and what did it say when I opened it up? Yeah, it said, I'm on a reading streak. You've read 116 weeks in a row. Now, apparently I haven't read 100, and I've read 0 days in a row, which means I must have missed a day. Oh, they show, I see. Oh, I've read every day in October, every day in September. I missed a day, 1, 2, 3 days in August. I missed almost a week in July. That must have been during the Summer Spectacular. Huh. Yeah, that's pretty neat. You can go through here. See more reading insights. Let's see what else they tell me. 8 titles completed? I've read more than 8 titles. 117 weeks in a row, it says. Days I read per month. 18 in October. Today's October 19th. 30 in September. 27 in August. 23 in July. 28 in June. 29 in May. Huh. The best daily streak, I read 144 days in a row. These are things I'm proud of. I like reading. I think it's good. All right, anyway, sorry. But reading is a break. Do you have a hoopla update for what you're reading, read, and liked? And how did you like Fables? I'm currently reading through Fables right now. Fables is pretty interesting. I really like the art for it. I really like the story for it. It's a little darker than I had expected, I guess. My favorite character in it is, so far, Little Boy Blue or Bigsby. There's a lot of characters in it I like. There's a lot of characters I hate too. Some pretty evil people in that series. Let's see here. That Red Something game that was hanging behind you on Breakfast with Scythe style art review this week. It caught my eye. You are talking about Red. Where is it? It's over there somewhere. I haven't reviewed it yet because... All right, I'm just going to get up and go look at it. Because I want to give you the right name. I don't know why the name... Red Outpost is the name of it. Red Outpost. Is Jeff Engelstein as smart as he sounds, or does he just know how to fake it really well? Well, first of all, the answer to that question is yes. But secondly, how can you answer that in any other way than saying yes or being incredibly insulting? That's a rude question. A rude question. Are you concerned there will be a flood of games released next year, if not every year? Wait, where have you been? There's a flood of games being released now. Even in the COVID, there's games coming out. I can't keep up with all of them. I made a list of games that I played in 2020 over the weekend. Or yesterday, I made this list. These are games that I played. I'm starting to do some slight preparation for Best of the Year work, looking at all the games that came out. Tons of them. And then I made a list of the games that I haven't played, but I would like to play from 2020 so that I can give a more full opinion. There's just so many out there. I remember you saying that you had a ton of ice cream toppings from an ice cream social that got canceled at your church. Did you ever end up eating it all? We ate a lot of it, but there's still quite a few left. I haven't eaten ice cream for a while. I have, for the past 2 weeks, I've allowed myself to go somewhat during this quarantine thing, staying here and just slacking. And so I've really pushed it the last 2 weeks. For 14 days straight now, I'm walking 10,000 steps a day. I'm only eating something sweet once per week, which I guess could be the ice cream sundae, but it wasn't last week. And just in general, trying to be healthier, as healthy as I can be, consistently working towards that end. Check back on me in a couple months. Let's see how that's working. But 14 days straight, and actually it will be 15 because I'm already a good track for today. I'm already at 7,700 steps. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. Will I be cooking a big meal for Thanksgiving still? Yes, although I think fewer people will be coming this year. Mike recently gave The Loop a seal of excellence. Have you played it or have any interest in playing it? I think we're playing it over the Summer Spectacular. What do folks in Florida do in the fall? They go swimming. Would you rather binge a legacy game in a weekend or spread it out over several weeks to savor it? This is assuming you didn't need to play it quickly for a review. Well, we haven't played one quickly for a review. Well, okay, I haven't. That's not true. Pandemic Legacy Season 0, we played out over a month, for sure. We took our time playing it. I played Queensdale with my kids. That took a couple months to play through that. Just a game or so a week. I like spreading it out, actually, but sometimes spreading it out. Like Clank Legacy, I kind of liked moving faster through that one because the story kept me interested to come back and try the next one. It all depends. I don't know that I'd want to binge one again. What do you give Tenet the movie as a review? I'd say 8 out of 10 right now. It is some of the best cinematography I've ever seen. Just really well done. It is confusing as all get out. But I'd love to watch it again to see. So without spoiling it, there's a lot of things in the first half of the movie. There's scenes that they revisit over the course of the movie. And I would love to watch a scene the first time to see how to see if they didn't. I'm sure they didn't cheat, but I just found it to be fascinating. How do you determine what games you decide to review and which ones you don't? Well, there's several factors in there. The number one factor is, do I feel like playing the game? So if a game comes in and I'm not really feeling it, it may not get played. But games that get sent to us by publishers have priority. That doesn't mean they'll get reviewed. Every time a publisher sends us a game, I tell them it doesn't guarantee that there'll be a review because we get that many games. But that has a priority to it. Games that people are interested in hearing about have a priority. We get a game and it's a hot game. But at the end of that, it's going to be games I'm interested in. I'm constantly, or even, and then a fourth reason would be games that you can get played. So a game that I can play with my kids, those are easy to do. I do lots of those. Games that I can play with that people are excited to play with me. A long 3+ hour game that looks boring, doesn't sound fun, that's hard to get people to play. So that's trickier to do. There's a lot of factors that go into it, but really, it's what I want to play. Do you get tired of legacy or campaign games? Sure, but no one's making you play them. Unless they are, in which case, that's something different. Do you plan on doing a list of games where the last turn is the most important? Oh, that's interesting. That one would be easier to do than the first one, I think. Yeah, I'll do it. Even if I can't find some people to do it with me, I can do that one on my own. Your clam chowder choice, Boston or Manhattan? I love them both, but probably Manhattan. Which is weird because almost everyone I meet likes Boston better. And if you go anywhere here in Florida, it's Boston. I'm not sure I've had Manhattan anywhere here. It must be here somewhere. But I make my own Manhattan. I really like it. Tom, if you like Fables, the Once Upon a Time TV show was originally meant to be Fables. That may be true, but I absolutely despised Once Upon a Time. I watched the first season and a half, maybe 2 seasons, My kids loved it. My wife likes it. I just really, really disliked it. It just felt like a soap opera. And I don't like any show that consistently, and lots of TV shows do this, where there's a bad guy. Here's the bad guy. We all are against this bad guy. The bad guy's not so bad. A worse bad guy comes. Now this bad guy actually is good. And we've totally forgot the fact that they shot someone you liked in season 1. And I liked Prison Break and things like that, but a lot of these TV shows will do that, or you will forget. You'll see two people who are friends, but like one was torturing the other one in season 1 or something. It's like, have people forgotten that? So yeah, I thought Once Upon a Time was very soap opera-ish. There was a lot of whining and complaining, and I don't know. It was okay. I just didn't really like it that much. All righty. Let's see here. Does reading the Bible not count as reading for you? Well, yeah, it does, but I guess I read it on a different app. I don't read it on Kindle. On Kindle, I have a different app for it. What makes you more excited for a new release? A mechanic-focused description like worker placement, deck builder, blah, 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 or a theme-focused description? I don't know. I think I would rather see the game. A picture of the game, for some reason, is the thing that decides whether I'm interested in the game or not. Am I a nostalgic person? How do you feel about the journey of Dysart has had through its decade? Well, sure. Yes, I think it's cool. Yeah, I'm nostalgic. I was just, this morning, I met my pastor for breakfast or brunch. And we went to Cracker Barrel, which is a place I haven't been to Cracker Barrel in years. So I was in the store at Cracker Barrel, because if you go to Cracker Barrel anywhere down south, you got to wait in line because it's an overrated restaurant that people for some reason think is really a big deal to going to. So you stand in line forever. You don't actually stand in line. You give me your number and you wait out in this old-timey Americana store. And there's just so many things in there. I'll see candy and I sit there and go, yeah, I remember eating that as a kid. And I think about that. Some of the stuff in there, my grandmother's house she was a pack rat of sorts, and she had all this old, tiny stuff. And I thought that was kind of cool. I don't know. Yeah, I'm nostalgic. Sometimes me and my wife will sit around and we talk about them days. We're not that old yet, I guess, but it happens. I'm very nostalgic sometimes. I like to think upon the past, but not to dwell on it. Was I pleased with the bus driver role in Werewolf? I was. Red Outpost is a communist game. It's not your resources, it's our resources. That is correct. Are you going to keep up with that Steam tabletop event this week? I don't even know what we're talking about. Do you have good plans for next year's Kickstarter campaign? I'm working on that right now. I have to. How do we donate to the library? Do we claim what we want to send, or do you get multiple copies of the games you request? I don't request anything. If you want to donate a game to the library, email me at tom@dicetower.com, and we'll go through the details and stuff of how it works. Many people have donated games to the library. I just put a few more in the library over the weekend that were donated. What are you more excited about, The Mandalorian Season 2 or WandaVision? Probably WandaVision, because I like Marvel better than Star Wars. But Mandalorian is pretty good. I like The Mandalorian Season 1 more than almost any of the Star Wars movies. Of course, I'm a weird person. My favorite Star Wars movie is Return of the Jedi. But that's because I like bombastic conclusions. My favorite Marvel movie is Marvel Endgame. Return of the Jedi was just, I love Jabba's barge. I like everything about Return of the Jedi. I even like the Ewoks. I don't care. I really enjoyed that movie. So that's my favorite Star Wars movie. I don't hate the new ones or the middle ones or the prequels. There's definitely bad in many of these movies. And I came out of the newest one shaking my head going, so many plot holes. What in the world? How was this such a movie made? And my kids were like, yeah, it was great. I was like, well, I guess the movie wasn't made for me. It was made for them. So there you go. But Mandalorian, I really liked. It didn't feel super Star Wars-y. Here's where I would rank the Star Wars movies as my favorites. My favorite Star Wars movie is Return of the Jedi. My second favorite is probably Rogue One. I really like Rogue One. And then third would be probably Episode 4. The first one. I know it's cool to say Empire Strikes Back, but I think I put that one a little lower because I don't like cliffhangers, right? So I do like Empire Strikes Back. I would say then after that, probably Solo. I don't know why Solo gets so much hate. I really enjoyed it. And then Empire Strikes Back. Then, jumping into the new ones, I liked 8 a lot. I know it's very controversial, but probably 8. I liked Star Wars Phantom Menace. I know everyone likes to hate on that one, and there's certainly cringeworthy parts to it, but that final sequence is still really awesome and greatest lightsaber duel, I think, in the whole series. Yeah, it's kind of a mishmash there. Probably my least favorite of the Star Wars movies is 9, actually, just because I felt like it didn't, just a Emperor Palpatine coming out of nowhere, anyhow, it's not that big of a deal. Mandalorian, cool. WandaVision, I'm very excited about because I like those characters, and it looks like it's going to be some neat stuff. Either way, I'm going to watch both of them. So what does it matter? When Cap picks up Thor's hammer in Endgame is probably my favorite moment in any movie. Do you have a favorite? Yeah, well, we did a top 10 list of favorites. That is certainly in them. I mean, that and the portals are 2 amazing moments from that movie. The elevator scene, expectations versus reality there. There were so many good moments from that movie. Outside of that movie, the ending of Mr. Holland's Opus gets me every time. Chanting for Rudy and Rudy at the end every time. I mean, these sports movies, where these things happen, where everyone kneels to the hobbits at the end of that. Oh, the charge of Rohan in the third Lord of the Rings movie when they show up and I actually yelled in the theater. I was so excited. When the elves showed up in the second one, I wasn't expecting that at all. Great moments. The reveal at the end of The Sixth Sense. That got me. There's probably a lot of them. I have to sit down and think about it for a while. Hot, hot, hot. We got it. Hot chocolate. Can you please explain why you decided not to respond to questions when people repeat it a few times and are eager to hear your answer to it? Because I don't answer every question, and I don't feel bad about that, actually. I know that seems rude, but some of these questions are asked all the time, and some of them just aren't questions I want to answer for whatever reason. I try to go through and answer a bunch of different questions, and a lot of times people ask me questions, what do you think about some particular game? Well, my review for it's going to come out, or has come out, or whatever the question might be. They just don't always get answered, and I just found that's a good way for me to deal with questions. I just go through and pick the ones I feel like answering, and I feel like it makes for a better Q&A that way. I get that people are eager to hear the answer to their questions, but I will say repeating it makes me less likely to answer it. I'm assuming you're one of those people who has asked the question over and over. And some of these questions I've answered in previous Q&A, so there's nothing like necessarily coming. Hang on, let me catch up where I'm at. Man, I lost where I was at here in the thing. Here we are. Do you know of other games where the community has taken over the development, like recently happened with Star Wars Destiny from Fantasy Flight? It happens a lot with collectible card games. I know that. But I don't necessarily keep track of all the places it happens. Does it happen that you start humming or singing if a game reminds you of a song? For sure. What are your thoughts on MCU Spider-Man 3 possibly seeing the return of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in a multiverse-type situation? I thought that was awesome when I heard it. I'll believe it when I see it, but that's pretty neat. Are you interested in reading any grand sci-fi epics? Well, sure. I read through the whole Honor Harrington series. My word, if I can read through that one, I think I can make it through most of them. Oh, also I read, well, it's not sci-fi, but I did read Wheel of Time. I feel like if you read Wheel of Time, it's like a passage. You're like, yeah, I've done Wheel of Time, so bring on whatever else you might have. But we will clear the schedule because Brandon Sanderson's next book is coming out this November, and I'm ready. And I will spend the weekend reading. Oh, I'm so excited about that book. When you play Gloomhaven, how much did your team work together? We started as teamwork, but now focus on thematic play more. 3 mercs, every man for himself, quite rewarding, burn through more cards. That sounds not the way I'd want to play. I really like the teamwork aspect of Gloomhaven. Ah, the CW formula. Yeah, that's how I feel like it turned. That's why I don't really watch the CW superhero shows. My kids like them a lot. When's Dysart going to have a review for Blue Skies from Rio Grande? There's almost nothing in the game and it's already released in retail. Well, that ain't on me. Like, the game just showed up last week. That happens a lot. People are like, when's it going to come out? There's a process. Sometimes a game comes and we can flip it and review it, but not particularly. We always ask publishers to send us stuff as soon as they can so that we have more time to get them before they go to retail. But it's, and I'm not yelling about Rio Grande at all here, but this happens with dozens and dozens and dozens of publishers. We just get to them when we get to them. I have not played the stay-at-home version of Ticket to Ride, mostly because I don't like print and play for myself. Print and play is fine. A lot of people get it. I don't want to print. I just want to play. So I haven't played it. Seems like fewer big games are being released this year. Any adjustments to Dice Tower Awards planned? Again, I'm really confused. A lot of people saying that. Are we working in different hobbies? There are tons of big games that have been released this year, and there's quite a few being released this week and more coming out. I mean, even if there's less games this year than last year, and there might be, that's probably a legitimate thing to happen. It wouldn't matter. There could be half the number of games that came out. We could still do Dice Tower Awards. There could be a fifth of the games that came out this year, and we could still do Dice Tower Awards. There's no adjustments. I mean, there might be adjustments, but they have nothing to do with the number of games coming out. There are tons of good games that have come out this year. Favorite type of cracker? You know, the one cracker I really like, and I haven't seen them in a store in ages, are the vegetable crackers. I don't know if you all remember them. They look like, they were shaped like peppers and things. They had like a tangy taste to them. I really like those. Other than that, though, I tend to like those fancy crackers or like Ritz. They're not cheap, but I really like those, whatever, the different crackers that you buy, and they look all super fancy. Saltines, though, quick and dirty. Melt some cheese on top of saltines, and it's a good day. Chicken crackers I like, too. I do like crackers. His four-way reviews replacement for Miami Dice. Actually, due to time, we have not renamed and rebuilt the intro for the series, but it does have a name, and it will be rebuilt. And yeah, it's a replacement for Miami Dice. When will be the top 100 of all time? January. Still never been in a Cracker Barrel. Again, you're not missing anything. What Cracker Barrel is it's a chain of diners, in the sense that if you go all over the South, you can find a down-home Southern diner restaurant where they will make you home fries and breakfast foods, and the waitresses come up and talk to you, and they're friendly. They're fantastic. It's not just down south, they're up north too. They're great. Cracker Barrel's like one of those, but it's a chain. I'm not saying Cracker Barrel's bad. It's just that it's easily, if you said, what's the most overrated restaurant of all time? Well, number one would be Starbucks, but number two would be Cracker Barrel. Just the way people act, they're like, a Cracker Barrel! Oh! I'm like, come on, guys. There's like diners all over town that are just like Cracker Barrel. And you don't have to stand in line in an overpriced store waiting for your turn. I do like that overpriced store, though. So, but I don't get it. I don't know. I've waited in line at Cracker Barrel so many times. And again, it's fine. I know people work at Cracker Barrel. I hope you're not watching this video, but now people are talking about Cracker Barrel. Do you think you would have done the 10,000 and below series if COVID was not happening? I don't know. I'm always starting new series here on the Dice Tower. I'm actually working on what series I'm going to do after I'm done with that. A good entry into deck building, I always say start with Dominion. Dominion is the deck builder. And then Clank to see what you can do with deck building. Is Sam coming back to Dice Tower? No, Sam has a job with Mythic Games. The original trilogy is better than everything else. You know, that's certainly the thing to say, right? Everyone says that, and it may or may not be true. But I will say that very rarely do I meet anybody under the age of 30 who necessarily says that unless they grew up in a house where their parents said that and it's been indoctrinated in them. The informal surveys that I've run consistently with kids and everywhere, I always ask them what they think. They like the new ones just as much as the old ones. They really do. Because they don't have this nostalgic attachment to Han, Luke, and Leia. You could argue the acting was better, the writing was better, whatever, and maybe that's true. But I still think nostalgia has a lot to do with it. Tom, was there a point in the Dice Tower business where you feel like you made it and worried less about being able to provide for your family in the short, medium term? Well, I don't know that I ever felt like I made it. Was I worried a little bit less? I think after I ran the first Kickstarter. Now, did I worry less than the second Kickstarter? No. Do I worry every year in each Kickstarter? Yes. Am I even more worried for this coming one? For sure. But we just go on anyway. Let's see here. Tom, what would you say is the percentage of games you review that never get played again? You mean by me? 98? It's really high, but you're like, what? How can that be 98? Well, I mean, I've reviewed 6,000 games at this point. If I was consistently playing all, even 5,000, 5,500, maybe not 98%, but it's a lot. I just don't have time to get back to all of them because I'm constantly playing new ones and or my favorites. Just the way it is. Please say the triple deck from the Mighty Ducks. I really like the Mighty Ducks, but I don't know that there was a moment there that it stood out to me. What's the the shortest game you've ever played? I don't know. I mean, there's like I just played 2-minute Dino. I guess that's 2 minutes. Maybe there's a shorter one than that. One on time and one on the title. I don't understand what that one means. So, Helm's Deep is my favorite Lord of the Rings scene. It is pretty impressive. If Dice Tower West is still on, can you bring some key lime pies, please? I cannot. Getting them across the country and frozen things would be such a pain in the neck. It's already a lot of work to get the hot games out there. What do you do with all the unplayed games after reviewing them? The unplayed games? Is this a trick question? To say, I'll be like, wow, this is what we do. And they're like, I knew it. You don't play the games before you review them. I think I think what the question you're asking here is, what do you do with your games after you're done reviewing them? And a variety of things. A lot of them go in the Dice Tower library. Some of them go to different people who play the games with me, like the guys here in the studio. And we have a humongous amount that are just sitting around waiting for the next convention for us to sell them at. Steam is a video game digital distribution service by Valve for computers. Okay, well, I knew that. Online board games have become popular through the service. They are holding a sort of digital convention from October 21st to 26th. Oh, I haven't heard anything about that. It doesn't sound that interesting, especially with all the Essence stuff going on. Live board game panels, let's plays, talks, and our digital. Oh, sure. That's really weird that they're running it at the same time as Digital Spiel. Well, if it gets more people in the hobby, good. Do you know why Stonemaier didn't publish Mariposas? Well, I would assume that AEG would have a problem with that. Companies shouldn't publish games that other companies are publishing. Soundtrack vinyls. I don't collect vinyls anymore because I'm not 90. But video game scores. I like everything from Final Fantasy. I've always thought that music's good. Legend of Zelda, though, is hard to beat. The orchestral Legend of Zelda is just fantastic. I used to have a big band Super Mario CD. I don't know what. I haven't added that in Spotify. I don't remember what it was called, but I really liked it. I like video game scores. So I think Skyrim has really good music in the background. Yeah. If you were a Cylon, would you want to know? Well, you know, I like Battlestar Galactica, but they never made it clear what being a Cylon was. So I guess every once in a while your backbone would turn red. And every once in a while you'd have a feat of superhuman strength, maybe. But other than that, they were very unclear on the Cylons. I don't know that even they knew what they wanted them to be. Like, oh, they're robots, but they look like humans and act like humans and feel like humans. And how would you know if someone's a Cylon or not? And even if someone was a Cylon, other than them just saying they were a Cylon, it was very weird. To me, I still think they could have just cut the tip of everyone's pinky finger off and see if there was wires in it. But maybe there wasn't wires. Again, they never explained any of that. Tom, are you still involved in your local church in any way? I am. I'm the chairman of deacons at my local church, and I teach online the kids Awana lesson every Wednesday, and get involved any other way they need me to. Honor Harrington is a great character. Really, really like that series a lot. There's a lot of cool characters in that series. I remember saying that you enjoyed playing the Sid Meier's Civilization PC games. I do. Would you consider reviewing the 2002 Eagle Games board game for your 10,000 Under series? Didn't I actually review it as a real review at some point? And my 10,000 Under series isn't a set of reviews. It's just me looking at games and talking about them. And also, I feel like I talked about this one. I don't even know if it was in 10,000 Below, but if it was, I talked about it. Pirates of the Caribbean movie franchise, yeah or nay? Yeah, it's enjoyable. I like them. I was happy with the fourth one, I think, was it? It seemed that they ended everything on a decent note. Saltines taste like cardboard. But how would you know? I guess maybe if you like opened a box for your teeth, you'd know what cardboard tastes like. I've never eaten cardboard, so I'm going to defer to your opinion on that one. If so, maybe I should be eating cardboard. I think saltines are fine. They're a good base. See, what I do is I layer a plate with saltine crackers. Then you put on cheese. 2 different types of cheese if possible. So you layer that on. And then little bits of ham. And then you heat that up. But then you put on some banana peppers, heat it up a little bit longer, maybe some onions, depends on how raw you want the onions to be. And then you drizzle some sauce on it. Now, right now, my red onion Vidalia hot sauce is my hot sauce of choice, but sometimes barbecue sauce, sometimes Grey Poupon. And then you eat them, and it's marvelous. Probably not healthy. Tomato basil wheat thins is where it's at. I agree. That is good. I like those too. Any tips on how not to get addicted to playing board games and how to find a substitute for playing games? I don't know. Feels like board games would be an odd thing to be addicted to. I mean, I guess you could be addicted to anything, but I wouldn't know what to tell you if you were addicted. Yeah, sorry, maybe someone else has a good answer for you here. Now people are talking about, have I listened to an audiobook that Erica's narrated? I have indeed. Do you have a Waffle House near you? I do indeed. What are my top 3 favorite book series? Way of Kings. Well, the Mistborn. Probably an Honor Harrington, I guess. No, Reckoners. Yeah, Stormlight Archive, Mistborn, Reckoners. Yeah, I know they're all written by the same guy. I don't care. What are your criteria for games you are willing to review? You seem to avoid certain types of games. Well, I don't know what games you're talking about. I avoid games that require a good deal of immersion and a lot of work into them. So like a war game that takes 10 hours, I tend to avoid those. I tend to avoid, I don't know what you mean by that. There's a lot of games I avoid, I suppose. But I play a lot. I play more than most people play, I would guess. Maybe not. Has anyone ever offered to purchase the Dice Tower? Not exactly. Have your kids ever been able to convince you to watch through an anime series? Oh, no, but I watch them with them occasionally, but I just watch just different bits and pieces. I was watching one yesterday with them that was horrifically badly animated. I pointed that out. And then I was told to leave. Did you have someone be honestly mad with you because you've beaten them in a board game? Well, as a child, that happened all the time. I think it'd be odd to grow up as a child and not have that happen. As an adult, yeah, it happens. I don't know if people would get mad at me. I did meet a couple people when I was in Korea. There was a few soldiers I played against who did not take losing very well at all. I bet people got mad because they lost. And if you lie to someone and stab them in the back in one of those games and beat them, they can get mad. I think there's some legitimacy to their anger there, maybe. What is my favorite Business Wars episodes? I haven't listened to all of them, but let me go back and think. Well, I think that still the original one, Netflix versus Blockbuster, was really good. In fact, it was good. They did a Netflix versus Blockbuster documentary, which I think is on Amazon, of all things, which was fine, but I already knew a lot of that stuff because of the Business Wars episode. What other one really did I find fascinating? Oh, the Marvel vs. DC one. I really like that one. It only touches on the movies. It talks about the comic books a lot, and I really enjoyed that one. Those would probably be my favorite too. Man, there's a lot of people asking me about Burnout. Am I showing Burnout on my reviews? There's lots of questions regarding this. I'm feeling great. I'm looking forward to playing new games this week. I had a great week and I got to play new stuff. I love playing new things. I'm not bored of playing new games at all. If I look burned out, I'm sorry. Man, lots of people are asking me that. Oh, the shortest titled game you've played, like East. Well, then you just answer your question. I guess it's East. Field of Dreams when his dad walks out to play catch. Impossible not to tear up. That's a good moment, I guess. I found Field of Dreams. I like it. I like baseball. That movie was a little slow for me. It's good, but I didn't get so caught up in that particular moment. I do get caught up in moments in movies, though, especially those sad moments and or emotional. I still love Mr. Holland's Opus. Okay, anyway. But I was a teacher, so that has something to do with it. What's for lunch? Oh, no lunch today. I had lunch at brunch earlier, so that's that. I can't find a review for Grand Austria Hotel. I feel like I reviewed it. I enjoy it, but I would rather play it with 2 players than 3, and I won't play with 4. Amusingly, young people collect vinyl more than old people now. Yes, but it's still very few people. It's still very, very, I mean, we say young people, but like my daughters and their friends, none of them do. They all listen to music digitally. I do enjoy, though, the very strong arguments of people who listen to vinyl. If you want to listen to vinyl, I mean, that's fine. I do think it's odd that we now call it vinyl. It was called records when I was a kid, but anyway. So everyone, people listen to vinyl like this is the best way to listen to music. Sure. I guess maybe you just feel better saying that. I mean, maybe it's even objectively true. I wouldn't know. I doubt it. But let's say it was objectively true. I don't think most people's ears could even tell difference. When I'm listening with my Bose headphones, which are great headphones, and I'm listening to music on Spotify, I walk down the street, I don't sit there and think, this will be so much better on vinyl. I just am glad to listen to music. And I'm glad that I have a humongous library, almost an infinity library on here, and I don't have to switch it. I have nostalgia for records, and if people want to have nostalgia and own a record player, that's great. I just find it weird when they tell me how much better it is, because that feels... It feels like they're trying to convince themselves more than me, because you're not going to convince me that it's better. You might convince me that it's fun, it's unique, it's an interesting, cool thing to have. But man, there's a reason we moved to digital music, and one of the reasons was space and also not having to switch to record all the time. The Civ 6 soundtrack's amazing. Yeah, it's a pretty good soundtrack. I wonder how many questions I am behind here. January, that's a long time. Usually it's around Essen, but thanks. It is not usually around Essen. It was, but we just did it January last year, or this year, so it would be weird to do it now. It's best to have a year apart. Last year was we used to do them in September, but I moved it to January so that it wouldn't interfere with a lot of the other stuff that's going on right now. Do you prefer a tomato, cream-based, or olive oil-based sauce? It is this: olive oil, tomato, cream. And in that, I'm alone in my family. In fact, I hear fettuccine is the major dish that my family has when Dad doesn't come home for dinner because they know that I don't like it as much as they do. I don't hate it. I just prefer the other ones better. What's the most important message you want to convey when you do a game review? What the game feels like. That's it. Sure, I want to tell you if I loved it, if I hated it, and whatever else. But I want you, after you watch one of my reviews, to know if you will want the game or not. That's if I say, I hate this game, and you watch it, you're like, I think I would like it, then fantastic. That is the goal. I'd accept Patrick Rothfuss in there, but that's a good list. Well, I'm kind of looking for series that I feel like will end in my lifetime. Have I played Mistborn House War? I have. Again, you can always check to see if I played something by seeing if I reviewed it. Because I review almost everything that I've played. Not everything, but almost everything. What's my favorite retro video game? NES or SNES? Well, from the SNES, it's either Metroid. Oh, no. What am I saying? It's Final Fantasy 6, 3, whatever you want to call it. And then Super Mario RPG, Metroid, Super Metroid, great. And then the Legend of Zelda. And of course, I do love Mario, F-Zero. There's a lot of games I like, but Final Fantasy for sure. Super Mario RPG, which I'm still annoyed they never made a sequel to or did anything to. And then Metroid. Man, Metroid still brings back memories for me. Legend of Zelda, those are great games. For NES, less so. I have more nostalgia for the SNES than I am for the NES. But the NES had a lot of good games. You know, obviously Mario 3, Contra. Zelda 2. I never got into Zelda 1. Oh, anyway. Favorite food in Korea? Budae-jjigae. How do you think a board game based on the Lemmings video games will turn out in the process of designing something? Just a puzzle. Lemmings is just a puzzle. There's some slight real-time aspect to it, but it's a puzzle you need to solve. Lots of board games give you puzzles to solve. I don't know that that would make an interesting board game. It would be a solo game anyway. Let's see here. I don't know if it's very few people. If Walmart decided to start carrying vinyl again. Well, sure, maybe there's more people doing it than not. But I still think it's a hipster thing more than it is a thing that people like. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe in 10 years we'll start listening to tapes again, and then 10 years after that, people are like, "Hey, have you heard about these things, CDs?" It's just weird to me that we like go back in time. But again, people can do what they want. The last 15 minutes of Pixar's Coco, that is good. I do like that. Or the first 15 minutes of Up, right? Best subjects to talk about to turn a stranger into a friend. What do they like? What do they do? Get them talking about themselves. That's what people like to talk about, I found. So that's what I usually talk to when I talk to people. One movie you haven't seen in the theaters and would like to. I don't. You know, I was just thinking about this because they were saying the theater that we went to on Saturday, it was rented out. There was 8 of us. We sat all around the theater. You could rent out the theater, and they said you could bring in your own thing and watch in the theater. And I thought that'd be cool, you know. But I don't know what movie I would take, you know. I never saw Jurassic Park in the theater as the original one, so that might be neat. I heard it was really good in like an IMAX type setting. Is the Dysart Essentials line still going? Yes! What a perfect question to end on. Come back tomorrow morning and we'll show you the newest game in the Dysart Essentials line. Freedom 5 is going on Kickstarter tomorrow. And of course, Foundations of Rome will be delivered next year. And Four Gardens has been picked up for the Dysart Essentials line. That's coming out early next year too. So those are the next 3 games coming from that line, and I'm very excited about those. Aquatica and Smartphone were just released just a month or so ago. So these are all games I think are fantastic, and you should check out and play. They really are good from Arcane Wonders. Alrighty, folks. Thanks so much for watching / listening. I hope you have a fantastic day. I apologize if I didn't answer your questions and or insulted your taste in vinyl. Vinyl's amazing. I'll go buy a record right now. Anyway, until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. See you next time.